What's up, YouTube? We are back today with the video for the 25.04 release candidate of Fangtooth. This is the next installment of the series for TrueNAS Fangtooth, which is going to be the official release come April. This brings big changes, and today we're going to go over some of those changes. But the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is if you're running the beta, how do we get to where we can actually get the release candidate? If you're running 25.04 Beta 1, you'll see the updates available. If you are not, you want to change your release train. For example, if you're running either Dragonfish or Electric Eel, make sure to change your release train over here so you can see all of these options. We are going to go today to the TrueNAS SCALE Fangtooth 25.04 release candidate. We're going to look at the release notes in a minute. I'm going to apply the pending update. I am not going to export or save this configuration, but you are going to want to. The reason I'm not going to is this is just a test box. I don't care, but if you want to keep your data safe, make sure to click the Save Configuration button. I'm going to click Do Not Save. I'm going to confirm, and I'm going to start the update process. So here we are back in the dashboard. We are booted back in again after our upgrade. I can see no major changes to the dashboard here. Everything looks like the upgrade went super smooth. So I'm just going to click through some tabs here to show you that nothing really has changed. The storage is still fine. The data sets are good. My shares are still running. The data protection is up. My apps are still here. I can see Dockage is running. It rebooted and started running immediately upon reboot. I can get to the web UI. No problem there. Coming back out, everything here just needs upgrades, but other than that, updates I should say, everything else is really good. Everything in the system is reporting good. The instances tab is as it was before. I had an existing LXC and VM that I made sure did not start upon reboot, and they're still here, no problem. I was expecting to see a feature here that allows me to create an instance with a non-VirtIO hard drive. I do not see that when I go into the VMs and I use an ISO image, or no matter what. I don't see the option here to do that. I just see the CPU and memory configuration just like normal. You have the option to choose the disk size, and then you have this really cool thing that they've added for the PCI pass-through. Your PCI pass-through is probably going to be where you want to put your graphics cards pass-through. If you guys have NVIDIA graphics cards you're using for transcoding or AI or things like that, this is going to be the place where that's going to go. But other than that, no other major changes there. So this is a fairly routine upgrade, which is great. That's what we want to see. We want to see non-exciting upgrades. Exciting upgrades means things break, and we don't want to have to deal with that. So going from the beta 1 to the release candidate is very smooth. So I recommend you come in here, and if you're thinking about that, definitely go ahead and strongly consider making the leap. This is going to be the closest thing we're going to get to the full-on what they call the point release, the .0 release on April 15th. So if you're thinking about, hey, like, is this stable enough to run? The answer for that is going to be, yeah, this is going to be almost as stable as it gets before we get the full-on quote-unquote stable version. If you were working with beta 1 before, definitely upgrade. If you were working with Electric Eel and you're like, hey, is this the right time? The answer could be yes for you. This is a very stable release, and it is going to be safe enough to run. If you have very high load, or I should say, production machines that have great value to you, or you can accept no downtime, maybe wait for the full point release on April 15th. But if you're not doing anything that requires like your company to make sure your server is still running, this is going to be a pretty safe upgrade for you. So I recommend strongly you consider it. Go ahead and take a look at the release notes. They're going to tell you about them. So I'm going to go to the release notes right now. It'll tell you everything that's changed, then we'll come back for the final part. So let's scroll down here for the release notes. The first thing I want you guys to see is the 25.04 stable. The release date is expected to be April 15th, so mark your calendars. So let's come up here and let's change. Let's go all the way down to the upgrade notes. Gonna keep going, keep going. I don't care about any of this. You guys can read this on your own time. Couple things here you might going to want to realize is, one, if you have existing virtual machines, though, it's going to break on the upgrade. So what you're going to want to do is it's going to keep your Z-vol, but you're going to have to recreate the virtual machine and basically say, I want to use an existing Z-volume as the boot disk. But you're going to have to redo all your configurations for your CPU, your memory, all those things. The apps, this is going to be the big one for everybody that wants to know about using IPs that are not the host IP. So for example, if you want to have an individual IP for every Docker container you have, this right here is what you want to look at: TrueNAS Apps and TrueNAS Apps Timeline. The timeline that they're putting out for us is June 1st, 2025 to have the ability to give host IP port binding. It's a fancy way of saying every single app can have its own IP on your network. You are not forced to use the IP of the TrueNAS server it is running on. So if you're one of these people that are still on Dragonfish, you're going to want to pay attention to this. You are going to be able to go from 24 to 04, which is Dragonfish, to Electric Eel up until June 1st. After June 1st, you are not going to be able to migrate your apps. You're going to have to destroy everything and start from nothing. Once you're after June 1st, if you've got either Electric Eel or if you have Dragonfish, you will be able to migrate at any point, either before or after June 1st, but you have to be on Electric Eel to go from Electric Eel to Fangtooth. If you're going from Dragonfish to Electric Eel, your cutoff date is going to be June 1st, so pay attention to that. Scrolling down here, the last thing we're going to see here is the full release little map that they're doing, the little mermaid chart for Electric Eel. Long story short, whether or not you are on, in this case down here is Core, up here used to be Scale. Everybody's going to be on the quote-unquote community edition come, April 15th is going to be the release date. Coming all the way down here, these are the notable changes that they've made in the last time. There's nothing here that I thought was notable, so I'm gonna read this stuff to you guys. You can come here and look at all this stuff. There's a few more known issues that they're still ironing out, but this is basically the end. The only thing I saw on this list that was going to be important is if you're trying to use any kind of instance that needs that can't use VirtIO. So if you, this is this second dot right here. This is your Windows people. If you have a Windows VM and you want to create a Windows VM on Fangtooth, before you couldn't do that because unless you had a flashed version of the Windows ISO, there was no VirtIO drivers and there was no option to add a disk to your virtual machine that didn't have VirtIO. So they've added that now, so that's the only notable change. But that's it. You guys can come here and read the release notes for yourself, go through this in very good detail. I just wanted to highlight those things for you: the release date of Fangtooth, the apps date that we get to start using the host IP binding, and the new feature for adding non-VirtIO hard drives into virtual machines. Okay, so now that we've looked at the release notes, I just want to thank you guys for watching the channel. I want you guys to like and subscribe if you like what we're doing. I strongly recommend you guys comment below to let me know how you guys are enjoying the content or any content you want to see. And if you really want to say thank you, please buy me a coffee.